Drama in Double Bay as independent candidate Karen Phelps gate crashes the PM's media conference.
Sam Burgess cleared of any wrongdoing in the sexting scandal.
Drumline set and patrol stepped up following Whitsunday's shark attacks.
And excitement builds as the Cronulla Sharks and Melbourne Storm do battle for a place in the NRL Grand Final.
This is NBN News with Lobb and Natasha Beyersdorf.
Good evening. Political rough and tumble came to the gentle harbourside suburbs of Sydney today when independent candidate Karen Phelps gate crashed the Prime Minister's visit to the by-election seat of Wentworth. Mr Morrison decided to ditch his scheduled appearance, but found a warm welcome among students, soon to get a slice of his surprise billion-dollar handout to private schools.
A self-confessed daggy dad, and showing us why. The Prime Minister, king of the kids at a Catholic school, set to benefit from a multi-billion-dollar funding boost. And trying to shake off the shambles of an earlier ScoMo no-show.
We're very sorry.
Cancelling a Wentworth campaign event after independent Karen Phelps gate crashed and got in first.
You scared him off, Prime Minister.
Not running scared, the spin doctors argued, but running out of time.
And when I saw the program later this morning, I made the choice that I wanted to be here talking about this issue today.
And avoiding a campaign showdown.
I know the Labor Party's tricks, crashing press conferences.
But it wasn't the Labor Party. In fact, Karen Phelps has changed her mind about her preferences.
I intend to preference Liberal ahead of Labor.
We say thank you for that, but that doesn't make her a Liberal.
The last Liberal member, Malcolm Turnbull, still in New York, talking about his prime ministerial predecessors.
Truly Gillard, who I admire in many ways, and my predecessor and opponent in the Liberal Party, Tony Abbott, is sort of very right-wing character, much to say the least.
It's good or bad for the Liberals, Malcolm Turnbull staying away until after the October 20 by-election.
Why would he come back here and support the Liberal Party?
Lane Kelcott, NBN News.
Police have stepped up their war on outlaw motorcycle gangs, raiding homes and charging 4 men over a menacing group attack. The Finks members are all alleged to have terrorised a driver on the Great Western Highway in the Blue Mountains after one of them was thrown from their bike.
Bursting through a front door at Shelby. 3 men arrested in dawn raids at homes across Western Sydney. Angry family members lashing out. It's the same rage police allege was behind this frightening act on the Great Western Highway at Blaxland in June. A swarm of bikies allegedly punching and kicking a white BMW after its driver had a minor collision with one of their motorbikes.
The raids that were undertaken today were another example of Strikeforce Raptor's commitment to dealing with outlaw motorcycle gangs, violent behaviour and intimidation.
Today 9 News was there as police came out in force. Force Raptor have seized dozens of bags of evidence from all 3 properties. Here at this home, they're packing away items of clothing, shoes and a tracksuit. They say this is an ongoing investigation. Cannabis and outlaw motorcycle club paraphernalia was seized. 27-year-old George Lansdell has been charged over the June attack and refused bail. 47-year-old Shane Mellon charged over his alleged role. Can you explain what happened that day?
No comment.
22-year-old Jake Keemers also walked from the police station with a court date, but couldn't stay out of trouble for long. Zara James, NBN News.
It's been a long week for Sam Burgess, accused of sending nude photos and intense media scrutiny, all while in the midst of a finals campaign. But today, his club and the league cleared him of any wrongdoing, and now the Rabbitohs star is determined to clear his name.
The Rabbitohs at play, bearing all on a video chat. The images seem inappropriate, but according to the NRL, there's nothing wrong with it. A 6-member panel, which included 4 Souths officials and the NRL integrity officer, Karen Murphy, found it was not satisfied that any South Sydney player engaged in any actionable misconduct. The scandal dragged in South's highest profile player, Sam Burgess.
what hurts me the most is seeing my wife upset about what's out there.
The images came from one of his social media accounts. The 23-year-old woman allegedly involved in the chat, claiming the ordeal left her feeling violated and disgusted. Today, Burgess hit back, tweeting, "I've not sexted anyone. I've given a full account to the inquiry and answered every question asked." Burgess has declared he intends to sue for defamation, but in a twist, the NRL has indicated it may not be case closed. They say if any additional information comes to light, it will be considered. 24 hours out from a grand final qualifier with the Roosters, there's relief at the Rabbitohs, and the coach is confident his gun player will be right to go.
Expect Sam to do his job, Brandy. Don't expect him to do anything more, anything less.
Damien Ryan, NBN News.
A 12-year-old girl and a 46-year-old woman savagely mauled in separate shark attacks in northern Queensland tonight remain in a critical condition.
The tropical holiday coast has been rocked by the attacks. Baited drum lines set today in an attempt to catch the sharks.
If anything was going to save the life of the young girl, it was this. The rapid response of the rescue helicopter, a paramedic running across the beach, where others were already trying to stem the flow from the girl's leg. The victim of the second shark attack on Queensland's Coral Coast in 24 hours was today named as Hannah Paps from Victoria on a family boating holiday. That holiday atmosphere has been rocked, and today drum lines have been set to catch the shark.
Really out of character that this has happened. It's generally an area where people are, in most cases, free to swim.
After a night of intense medical care in Mackay, Hannah was today driven to the local airport, loaded onto a plane from the Royal Flying Doctor with her father, departing for Brisbane. The attack on the 12-year-old came less than 24 hours after a similar life-saving rescue of Justine Barwick, a mother of two from Tasmania. She was also savaged on the leg by a large shark in the very same bay and remains in a critical condition.
There's no evidence to indicate it is the same shark. Sharks are very mobile.
Both victims are now here in Brisbane. Surgical teams were on standby for the moment they arrived, and it's certain both will be requiring intense treatment over the coming days. Now it's a waiting game for the two victims and for those trying to trap the shark.
A man in his 50s has died after his motorbike collided with a car at Clunes near Lismore on the far north coast this afternoon. It's understood the rider crossed onto the wrong side of the road while trying to navigate a sharp bend on Bangalow Road.
Our crime scene people are here analysing the scene. The drivers of the two other vehicles, the gentleman in the truck and the lady from the car, have been taken to Lismore Base Hospital for mandatory testing. And a report will be prepared for the coroner.
The crash comes at the end of a 2-day road blitz aimed at reducing road trauma.
2 men have faced court in Newcastle today, charged with allegedly supplying drugs in the Hamilton area. They were arrested last night after police executed search warrants at 2 properties in Cahiba and Carrington, where officers allegedly found illicit drugs, knuckle dusters and a BB gun. 26-year-old Andrew Hardman is facing a total of 24 charges, while 27-year-old Ryan Camborne was charged with 13 offences. A 23-year-old man was also charged. He'll face court in October.
Persuading high school students to become involved in sport isn't always easy, but one Newcastle teacher may have found a way. More than 200 students from across the state found their way through Glenrock National Park for a sport that's fast picking up pace.
What began as a way to get Hunter Christian School students involved in the outdoors turned into this.
I thought we'd have 60 or 70 kids. We've actually got more like 220 to 230 kids today, so it's absolutely crazy.
Not bad for the inaugural event, the all-schools mountain bike race.
A lot of people say cross-country racing is dead. It's not exciting at all.
Proving otherwise after a couple of high fives and some pump-up beats. A huge field for the under-13s class. Their course was all about inclusion.
Well, the under-13s have modified the course slightly to make it so there's barely any climbing at all. And that's to try and encourage people to come back. If they're having fun by just riding the flat, smooth, flowy sections, then it's probably going to be more likely the case.
Mid-North Coast Tom Worth was first across the line.
Pretty good, but I'm still a bit sore from the race. On the first lap, I probably went a bit hard at the start, and then I was a bit tired.
The older riders getting a little more action.
There's a nice quarry with a massive big jump in the middle of the course.
As an after-school activity, it's just as popular.
If you come to Glenrock on a Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday, there's often 50 to 70 kids being coached. So not necessarily cross-country, but for doing jumps and being able to ride more safely.
Georgia Mar, NBN News. Drones, autonomous boats and electric racing bikes, they're just a few of the cutting-edge creations on show at this year's Makers Festival. Newcastle-based innovators are bringing their brightest ideas to the table and asking those with a natural curiosity to come test them out.
The way of the future, designed and manufactured right here in the Hunter, and now well within the reach of the next generation of inventors. With the formalities out of the way, the fun could finally begin for those lucky enough to be given a sneak peek at this year's Makers Festival. Their eyes lighting up as they got their hands on the latest gadgets. From the smaller robots.
So they've got like a little sensor underneath them so that it senses all the colours, and then instead of programming it on a computer, you program it with pens and paper.
To the robots so big they can stop traffic.
We're developing a fully autonomous traffic management drone. That's going to revolutionise traffic management. People can be off the road and control the vehicle. They don't have to be out there holding up the lollipop signs.
Solar, electric, automatic. Engineers in training from the University of Newcastle have even designed a boat that can steer itself.
Everyone gets their own boat, but we have to modify it to have it perform tasks autonomously.
And far from reinventing the wheel, many of the devices on display here provide practical solutions to real-world problems.
We're great at inventing things, and the challenge is to turn that into jobs here for Australians.
Tomorrow the festival opens to the public for the first time, and organisers are expecting around about 3,000 people through the gates. So clearly this festival is just getting started. Jacinta Lee, NBN News.
A potentially explosive discovery has been made among the keepsakes of a former Hunter Valley World War II digger. John Johnson fought with the revered Rats of Tobruk, had also served at El Alamein and New Guinea. He survived the war, but since his death, his collection of military memorabilia was passed down to his family at Coffs Harbour. Inside an old medical kit, a bottle of solution was found to have crystallised, posing a threat similar to TNT. The bomb squad had to be called in to carry out a controlled detonation. The advice, if you're ever in doubt, always call the authorities.
The Westpac Rescue Helicopter Service has farewelled one of its long-serving pilots, Kevin Ratcliffe. But celebrations were interrupted by an emergency at Kurri Kurri, with the veteran called out to rescue a road worker struck by a four-wheel drive.
For 15 years, respected line pilot, aviation trainer and granddad Kevin Ratcliffe has been flying people out of harm's way, getting them to life-saving medical treatment. A career where the years have literally flown by.
I never fail to be surprised and pleasantly surprised about just how many folks come back and say, you flew me back in 2000 and something. And of course they have to remind me what it was all about, because of course we're doing that all the time.
The 61-year-old having more than earned time with his family, hugely thankful for the chance to serve others.